I've been collecting mini skeins for the past year, and it's finally time to start knitting them into a blanket. Last year, around this time, I bought the Sewrella Autumn Tonals mini skein kit, and at first I thought I was going to be knitting a Sweet Shop blanket by Penrose. I ended up making the Sweet Shop blanket, but as a gift for my baby cousin. She's crazy. At some point, Laura Penrose made the Stella quilt cushion, and then she decided and announced it was going to be a blanket pattern. And at that point, I was kind of already sold, and I knew I wanted to use these mini skeins to make it into the Stella quilt. I already made the Sweet Shop blanket. I really enjoyed making the Sweet Shop blanket. It's a join-as-you-go garter stitch pattern. This Stella quilt blanket uses the same techniques to make different motifs to make a knit blanket look like a quilt. And I love that. I'm not a quilter, but like, I love that I can kind of cosplay as one in knitting this blanket. I have everything I need to start this project, but it seems really daunting to kind of plan things out and to know where to start. I have my bag of mini skeins. I'm gonna sort them all out. I have my main color that I can start to wind up and get ready to start knitting everything together. I think the first thing I'm going to do is sort these into colors. I already did that like 2 months ago, and then I put everything back in this bag, so I kind of have to like redo it, but I think it'll still be fun. Like, I'm honestly looking forward to it. And then the next step is deciding which motifs to use in the blanket. Each square of the quilt will be knit as a join as you go, and then I will seam the squares up at the end. And there's 2 different motifs. One uses more contrasting colors than another, so kind of based on the groups of colors I have, I think that's how I'll decide what motif to use for that square. Then I think I can finally get started, at least winding up the mini skeins for one square, winding up the skeins for another, and I will at least have in like a project bag ready to go when I want to start this project. I have one project that I'm still trying to wrap up from the summer. I've been really behind on my knitting. I really would like to get that done before I start this, but I know this is going to be a great project. I think it'll help me get my knitting mojo back a little bit and just kind of get into the groove of fall. It's cozy. I'm just really excited to start this. So let's get started on sorting all of the mini skeins. There are also some fingering weight skeins in here as well, kind of supplement as I go through. Organized everything by color. I started to do some very basic math. I am a pen and paper girl when it comes to things like this. I can't like do it mentally. I wanted to figure out what kind of size blanket I could make based on the amount of mini skeins that I have. So I have 55 mini skeins that are 20 grams each. Do some quick math, that's 1,100 grams of yarn. Crazy, bonkers, I know. And there's also 2 motifs, and one uses a larger amount of contrasting color than the other. If I did the most contrasting color for all 9 squares, that would be 1,152 grams. So I'm only 50 short, but I also have some wiggle room depending on the motifs that I choose. I think I might want to just sketch out what this looks like so I can have a better idea of it in my head, and I think that'll help guide my vision and show you just what I have so far for my colors. These might change. These kind of have cat hair in them, I'll be honest. So I have this deep maroon purple set, and I'm looking at this pink and it's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb to me, but I think it might look all nice together. And then I have a softer palette of purples and lavenders, which I think are very lovely. I have some bright and muted reds, and I have some stash yarn actually I had in this bag to kind of go with this and complement the reds. Next I have oranges and kind of like burnt yellows, like mustard to orange to like brown. I think I want to keep these together. These aren't in rainbow order if that's really going to bother you. Next I have greens. These really go with my sweater. These feel like St. Patrick's Day. Next one, I'm not really sure, and maybe I need to do some more fiddling with the blues and the greens, because I have these really dark, deep colors, but then these like really pretty light turquoises, and they don't seem to mesh. So I'm wondering if I should do more, put these more in the green and take some of the lighter greens over to mix with these colors, but I think I still have time to decide that. Some lighter sky blues mixed with some more bright ones. Out of all of them, the blues kind of feel the most discordant to me right now. Some really bright, shocking pinks. This is going to be so pretty. And then I also have just like a really pretty neutral, like ballerina palette as well. So I have a lot of colors going for me, a lot of different options. I also have some stash yarn that I'll be working in. I think the minimum amount of skeins I'll need for a square is 5 and the maximum I'll need is 7. Some of them I have 7 for and some of them I'm a little short, but I think I can supplement with, and I'll have that dictate what the blanket will look like. I'm gonna go ahead and just sketch up in my book what I think the squares will look like. It'll help me envision things a little bit better, and then I'll come back and maybe we can start winding some yarn tonight. It's now or never. I feel like I need to get started on this at some point and just stop looking at my mini skeins and start knitting. Play around with these colors just a little bit more and sketch something up, and I'll be back with that and I'll show you. Say that the pattern actually includes these sheets that you can use to plan your motifs. We don't have any ink in our printer. The fact that I even have a printer is a marvel to millennials everywhere, so I'm just drawing them out, and I tried to like draw the squares, but I feel like your middle school math teacher when she's like, I'm not an artist, I'm a knitter. I think I'm just going to like note which is each without drawing them all out. Found that I have 5 for the second motif and 4 for the first motif. Here you can see this on the project photos. So one motif is this like star or this quilt square. So those are like your different options. It's a little messy, but I did show my work. This is what I did to kind of get things in my head mentally. I know how many of each group I have. I just put a little color here to differentiate. So for example, I just counted how many mini skeins that I had, and then I also noted how many mini skeins for each that I'd need. I just like checked my math to make sure that I was right, and I think we're good. And then I also just wanted to get a visual of what the pattern will look like. I might just do like something online to show you. I wish I had an iPad. I feel like that would be way easier to kind of cut and paste these things. Do the quilt squares in these outer 4, and then there'll be kind of a cross where like the star bursts will be. Next thing I'll do is start to wind up the yarn and get everything ready for a project bag, and also try to find a way to at least group the yarn, whether it's like with rubber bands or something, so I just like have a rough idea of what the colors are. My skeins, and then I decided instead of putting like a rubber band around them, I didn't want anything to get unnecessarily creased, so I'm just going to tie it up in some acrylic yarn in a little bundle. How cute! Sun has really come out in full force, so if you see me squinting, that's why. I got all the bundles into a tote bag so that I could free up the project bag that everything was sitting in, so that this can become like for the active square that I'm working on. And I just want to make this project as easy as possible to kind of pick up and take with me, whether it's even just like at different parts of my house, or it could be portable and you can knit on it in the car or something like that as well. I think this is like the perfect size. I think it should be good, and I decided to do the kind of dark purples first because they're just really calling to me. Sometimes I want to save like my most favorite thing for last, but I'm kind of in the need of a little serotonin boost, and I think these will do it for me. These are the contrasting colors. I haven't shown you the main color yet, and I originally bought some undyed yarn from Knit Picks. I didn't really love it. It was a little too yellow. It was a little too creamy for what I was going for, just like all around too warm. And someone very lovely over on Instagram DM'd me and said, oh, I'm knitting this blanket, this is exactly what I'm using, and I just took that recommendation all the way to the online yarn store, and this is Cascade Yarns Heritage. This is their sock yarn. It's in the colorway 5758. It's this kind of light beige. It's not super crisp white, which is what I didn't want, but I wanted something light. I feel like it's a little more cooler. I feel like the sun's hitting it and it's like looking a little yellow, but it's cool in person. I feel like at least cooler than what I was looking at originally. I just wanted to make sure I matched somewhat the fiber content of the mini skeins. They're all a variation of a sock yarn, so they're a superwash merino with a nylon. I think some have like different ratios, but I just wanted to make sure that I bought a superwash. If I decided I wanted to put this in the washing machine, things wouldn't felt. TPT on what I'll do for that. That part is like really making me nervous, but maybe I'll just block everything before seaming. For the next steps, I'm going to wind up my purples and plums and also 2 skeins of the fingering weight so I can pull from the same ball at the same time. When I said I was going to wind all of this yarn, yeah, well, it's 2 weekends later and I still haven't done it yet. Life has been a little bit hectic lately. Would love to catch you up on everything while I wind all of my mini skeins up. But before that, I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I'll be honest, I've been pretty stressed out these past few weeks, looking for something to kind of get me out of my head and get me back into my body just a little bit. Right now I'm taking the Art Essentials Learn Watercolor Painting Basics with Katie Rogers class on Skillshare. This has been a really great way to just try something different outside of my usual routine. You learn in this class how to paint on wet and dry paper, how to start color mixing, how to create texture on your paintings. If you haven't heard, Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. They have courses spanning so many different topics from photography, videography, productivity, design, arts and crafts. One of my favorite things about Skillshare is their learn by doing approach. I'm definitely someone that has to try something out before it really kind of cements and I kind of figure out what I'm doing. And this fall, Skillshare has made some improvements to their class system. There's smarter class categories on the platform, and there's 3 new class topics: AI and innovation, creative careers, and creative inspiration. I find that fall is a great time of year to kind of reassess and maybe dig back into productivity or finding a new hobby. If all these options seem a little overwhelming and you don't know where to start, Skillshare asks new members to share a little bit about their interests. They'll immediately surface recommendations tailored to your goals. If you're looking to try out Skillshare, I have great news. The first 500 people to click the link in my description will get a month free trial of Skillshare, so go ahead and get started today. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's get into yarn winding. Like I said, life's been just been wild. I'll just be so honest, it's been wild and not always in a good way, and I'm like happy to drop back in 2 weeks later on this project and keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make these center pole balls, but honestly, we'll see. I don't really have experience all that much with mini skeins. It's exciting. This is kind of monumental. It's big, and I'm just putting them on my knees, I think, for now. We're trying here. We'll see how it goes. I really like winding yarn. I think some people find it peaceful. I really don't. So what's been going on? I think before, when I was filming earlier, I had already come back. My best friend got married in September, and that feels like, well, it was almost a month ago. My best friend got married last month, and it was really exciting. Like, the whole summer was kind of leading up to it. It was in September, and we had, you know, like planned a bachelorette trip for her, which was so much fun in July. And it was like my first kind of really close friend to get married, and one of our first college group like people to get married, which was just like so much fun. I love love and I really love weddings, and it really is making me excited for my own. So that was really fun. The other thing I've been dealing with recently, and that has been getting in the way of my knitting and creating and just everything, has been my health. And 2 years ago, my fiance, my boyfriend at the time, we both got long COVID. It was just kind of like really weird that we kind of both developed separate but bad long COVID symptoms. I don't know if I did this right. We'll see. I don't think this is right. Anyway, I think I'm just making a ball. Symptoms manifested as basically like a daily headache. It was much harder the first time around. First to kind of like identify what was going on and what was happening in my own body, and then to kind of get in to see the right doctors and start the right treatment plan. There's a lot of trial and error for receiving migraine treatment. There's a lot of insurance hoops you have to jump through. You often have to fail out on certain medications, like non-migraine medications, because they're not as expensive, before you get the newer, I think they're called CGRP medications. And so it took me a while 2 years ago to get into the right treatment. Luckily, as soon as my symptoms started again, which was also just kind of scary because Austin had gotten COVID in the summer, but I actually never tested positive. I just had like one day where I had a headache. I wasn't sure if I actually had COVID, but I definitely think I did based on how I'm feeling. It's a very specific type of headache. Like, I had not experienced it since 2 years ago. Just kind of know these things when they happen in your body. I was able to go to see my neurologist and kind of start back at the treatment that was working. So even in this past week, I've seen a vast improvement, but I've been on the treatment that I've been doing for 2 months now. So it takes a while to kick in. I've been dealing with that, and there's been some people have left at my job, and so my work has just like kind of increased a lot. And it was like, I was not feeling well, and work was really kicking up like right after the wedding. And so like for the past 2 weeks, really, since I last filmed, it's been kind of rough, guys. It's been rough. It makes me sad when I can't engage in my hobbies, but it's really like, if you've ever had any kind of chronic pain, if you've dealt with migraines, you know that you just kind of go into survival mode, and you're like, these are the bare minimum things I need to do to like get by. Kind of what was happening. And so being in survival mode unfortunately does not include knitting all the time, because knitting becomes uncomfortable. I get like a lot of pain in my neck and shoulders where like the headaches start from. And so, as you could imagine, sitting and knitting, it doesn't always feel really good. I've just become a lot more sensitive to any kind of strain in that area of my body, and I'm also feeling a little tangled right now. It's not too bad. We're still with it. It's definitely not a center pull anything. I don't know if that's really possible. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments if it is. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. I feel like I haven't been properly able to kind of like get inspiration for fall knits. I don't know. It kind of makes me want to like engage less, because I honestly feel like a little jealous when I see people being able to knit a lot. That's just kind of something that is super personal, right? It makes you sad that you can't knit as much as you want. And so I think I engage less online, and I don't know, I really like being present online in the knitting community. I feel like I've gained a lot out of it. I've met some really cool people, and so when I kind of have to like take a step back, it's a bummer. It's just a bummer. There's really no other way to say that. And it's not like there's like a pressure or anything. It's just like, this is something that I like doing and just don't have the time for it, or the energy. A good week this week. I actually had to work in person, which I was kind of worried about. I work remote most of the time. I had a workshop in person this week, and work stuff went well, but then also like I felt okay. Like, I was able to manage my pain. I was sitting in a room with fluorescent lights, which is like the worst thing you could probably do if you have migraine. All that to say, I'm hoping that I'm kind of on an upward swing, and that the medication continues to work and I can finally be more present, because I also took like the certificate program this year, which like also kind of, it took up a lot of time, and I'm just like, when can I get back into knitting and making videos and like truly being at peace? Like, this is what brings me peace and makes me happy, and I feel like my most creative and fulfilled self. Not to get like so deep with it on the knitting vlog, but hey, I think it's just a testament to the power of this craft and this art and the community as well. There's been like a new craft store in DC. It's called Mary Pin, that I've been really wanting to go to, and I just haven't been able to make it, but I definitely want to go there. They seem to have also like a lot of cool community events. I'm almost done with my first skein here. You can see I only have a few. Oop, I kicked the tripod. Only have a few. First ball, yay! First ball's done. How am I gonna hold this double? I don't know. We weren't thinking about it. So I'm gonna put on some Real Housewives and get winding. All this to say, if you have migraines, if you have any chronic pain, if you have long COVID, I hear you and I see you. And I just hope that you find some relief soon, and you feel like yourself. Because it's kind of, I've been talking about this in therapy, it's crazy how quickly things can change, and then kind of how quickly they can change back, and like how I haven't had really sustained pain for a few days in a row, so I feel so much like more myself. It's kind of crazy how quickly you can go back and forth. I'm gonna keep winding and check in with you soon. Let me pause Shannon Bedore Justice for Shannon. Okay, so I have 4 out of 7 done. I'm trying to experiment with ways I can make kind of a center pole situation. But I'm going to go meet my fiance. They're doing a thing in DC today called Open Streets where they like close a whole street down to car traffic. It's very Euro. And we're gonna go do that right now. And mark my words, it's Saturday. By Sunday evening, I will have 1 square knitted of this blanket. Okay, it is Sunday. I have a little bit of iced coffee. My kitty is here. She says hello. And I also finished winding up all of my yarn last night. This top ball is kind of messed up, but it's looking pretty good. And last night I also finished my mixed rib cami, which I'm really excited about. And it was also like, I really wanted to finish it before I started this project just because it had been taking me so long. Kind of felt a little trapped by that project, I'll be so honest, just because of how long it took. I feel like in any other circumstance, working on a small gauge would be fine, but because of the headaches, like I don't think that working on a small gauge is the most comfortable, like ergonomically, if that makes sense. Like, so I'm really excited to be working on like a 4mm needle as opposed to like a 2.5. I just find that like when I'm on needles, I tense up more, and I'm sure everything's all connected. That doesn't really happy that I'm done. It looks really good. It's blocking right now. It's drying on my balcony. Let's wind. I also want to do some cleaning today and then do a little knitting before my fiance and I go to a concert tonight. That's it from Sassy and I, and we will see you soon. Back, we lost our Amazon remote and I just found the old one in the bottom of my yarn ottoman. Can't wait to tell Austin that when he comes home. I'm watching a Smoky Glow video on Matt and Abby. I have 2 for the start, and I think this is good to start with. And then I'm just gonna do a little experiment here and use my ball winder on one of like the hand wound balls that I did of the mini skeins, and just to see. The thing is, I just don't really like my tools. Like, it's so annoying. I'll be back, give me a second. Unfortunately, this is very cute, so I think I might have to do it for all 6 of the remaining. I'm gonna do this, and then we'll be like set and ready. Winding is done. Here's my little pile. I did get some yarn stuck in my ball winder, so we have 2 here, but look how pretty. It's gonna be gorgeous. We love. So I'm gonna do some cleaning now because I need to clean, and then I'll come back and start. How exciting. Barely had a few sips of my coffee, so just give me a second here. So I did finally cast on the blanket, which I feel like is a big step and something that I've been working towards for a while. I know that might sound like small, but like I've been looking forward to starting this project. I feel like my knitting has been much slower lately, so the fact that I've been able to start is just like a really positive sign, and I'm taking that as a win. I did honestly start to get uncomfortable and like kind of trigger a headache last night as I was knitting, so there's definitely like a balance to strike. I thought that maybe because the needles were bigger and the gauge was bigger that I would feel more comfortable, but I think there's still something of like holding my body in a similar way that kind of like triggers my neck and my back they're like much more sensitive than they would be like normally, and that kind of like informs the headache and everything like that. Actually trying acupuncture today, so we'll see how that goes. But this is what we have so far. Feeling good. The person that recommended me this yarn said they were holding it double, and I'm glad that I'm going for holding it double, because I feel like it just gives a very plush quality to the fabric. I think the color is good so far, and like it's gonna be so pretty. I'm really jazzed. So we will continue working and get this first square done. Hello. Big news, big update. First square of my Stella quilt cushion is done. Very exciting, right? Only 107 more to go if I'm making 9 squares. Wait, is that, I don't think that's even true. I think I have more than that. No, I have what's 16 times 9? 144. I only have 143 left to go. So that's exciting. I wanted to cast on this next color just to get like, I wanted to get some color in here, I think, before we wrap the vlog. I need to post it tomorrow. But let's see how far I can get today. Last night, we needed a little morale boost, and so we watched Up. Loved Up. I remember it came out when I was like in high school, and I saw it like multiple times in the theaters, and I was in middle school when Up came out. I remember the movie, and of course like the first 10 minutes being sad. Guys, I bawled my eyes out, cried through that movie. It's so cute. It's so cute. And also, like, not to get so mushy, but I never watched that movie with someone who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and then it just hit different. I didn't film myself knitting last night because I was bawling. Oh, I already did this wrong with this off camera because I can't do 2 things at the same time. But what I love about these squares is that, and I did this with the Sweet Shop blanket, like the instructions are very similar if you knit that blanket, but she has you do these slip stitch edges. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it makes it so easy to pick up the stitches. Like, your needle goes right through, and it's just the most satisfying picking up experience. Cassie says hi. So I'm gonna get started on this. Can I do one more square before I wrap the vlog? We will see. I decided to start with this really deep purple color. So I'm gonna do this off camera because I clearly cannot multitask. To post this vlog eventually, but I just wanted to give one final update, and that is where I am so far. I got to add a color. It's looking really good. So it's actually more so this way, where this will be the bottom corner and this will be the first part of like the bottom of a star. Actually, it's like that. I'm looking at it backwards. This will be like the bottom of a star. So yeah, at least I think. I might have did this wrong, now that I'm thinking about it. Well, I'm gonna leave you on a cliffhanger because I have to post this vlog. But thanks so much for watching, and I will see y'all soon. Bye!